The oceans cover more than 70% of our planet. From the Caribbean to the South China Sea, around the world, they're all in danger. These huge masses of water are essential for the health and survival of all life. Dr. Sylvia Earle, an eminent marine biologist and explorer, has strong views on how nations need to work together to save what the UN calls the lungs of our planet. The UN are calling for balance and respect. How well do you think this call to action is going to work?
It will work or not, depending on the response of people who understand the importance. The fact that there was a conference at the United Nations about the ocean is cause for hope. We'll see what happens. I'm optimistic.
Now, there's quite a lot on their hit list. Number one appears to be plastic and microplastic. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
There is concern about what we're putting into the ocean, also what we're taking out of the ocean. But I think one of the most important and most meaningful actions at the UN conference in New York early in June was to commit to 10% of the ocean protected by 2020. And there's a movement underway, 30% by 2030. That means safe havens in the ocean where you respect the natural systems. It's a cornerstone of our life support, and that's really important.
Very encouraging indeed. Now, the UN also picked out acidification. How soon before anything can be done about that?
The chemistry of the ocean is changing because of what we're allowing to go into the ocean from the sky, the excess carbon dioxide becoming carbonic acid in the sea, causing the ocean to become more acidic. So the source of that is to cut back on the amount of carbon dioxide that we put into the atmosphere, which is driving the warming as well as the terrible twin, and that is acidification. The sooner we do it, the better. And protecting large areas of the ocean that are more resilient is another important action that can be taken to hold the planet steady.
So slowly bringing the temperature down and hopefully preventing the gradual or maybe quite fast sea rise. Now, what about blue carbon ecosystems? Here in Mexico, evidence obviously with the mangroves and with coral reefs. What can be done about that?
You know, every living thing is a carbon-based unit, and we're putting the emphasis on the land, on trees that photosynthesize, generate oxygen, but capture carbon and store it in their roots in the soil. In the ocean, now we are putting the spotlight on mangroves and seagrass meadows, but the truth is the fish, the shrimp, the tiny organisms in the plankton, all of these are carbon-based, blue carbon, that if we have large protected areas and if we respect the processes of generating oxygen, capturing carbon, and sequestering it in the ocean the way we do in the soil on the land, we will move in the right direction very quickly.
Now, what about sustainable fishing? Does that all mean that we've got to eat steak or become vegetarian?
You know, we need to look at fish differently. Fish, like birds, like the mammals on the land, are wildlife. And it took us a long time to regard whales as wildlife. Not so long ago, they were just pounds of meat, barrels of oil. And that's the way we look at other forms of life now in the ocean. But we're beginning to understand that there are other values we need to put on the balance sheet. Can there be the sustainable extraction of wildlife from the sea? First, we have to protect what we've got. We've seen a decline. 90% of many of the big fish, tunas, sharks, swordfish, groupers, snappers here in Cozumel, we need to give them a break. And can we eat some? Well, it's likely that we will, one way or the other, just because we've developed this habit over the years. But we have many choices about what to eat. And everyone can be a part of the solution by thinking of fish as wildlife, eating them, treating them with great respect, and making choices that maybe favor fish alive instead of on our plates.
Now, we're sitting very close to one of the best places on the planet for diving. Every other person you trip over here appears to be a scuba diver. What can they do to help?
Every diver, every person who gets in, on, around, and under the sea should regard themselves as ambassadors, as a voice for those who have no voice. Fish don't vote. Whales don't appear at meetings, but we decide their fate. So those of you who know, whether you're a sailor a surfer, and certainly as a diver, use your voice, use your knowledge, learn things yourself, and then share what you know. Who else is going to do it, if not you, and if not now?
Dr. Sylvia Earle, it's been an immense pleasure to meet you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.